Okay, it would have been in 1963. I was driving the school bus.
I met your dad on the school bus.
She came out to the bus one day and I thought, ooh, this is an improvement because all the kids on the bus were just grade 6 and lower, right?
I said, do you think it's okay I ride this bus to business college? My brothers and sisters are getting on here. My dad doesn't want to drive separately. I was 18. And he said, well, I don't know.
Well, I said, okay, but I said, I have to check with the county. So she gets her nose up in the air, right?
You'll have to check with the county. I didn't like him. That first thing I thought, oh, you miserable old guy.
I mean, she was a pretty good looking chick, right?
Anyway, I got on, he let me on. So I told Dad, and he asked the county, my dad. And he checked with them and they said, it's okay, you can ride the bus. So that's how I met him. And all my brothers and sisters liked him better than I did. I didn't like him that much. They thought he was great.
Her brothers would always be teasing us because she sat towards the back of the bus, right?
But he was putting on a show for me. I didn't know it. I thought he was crazy, you know.
So this day we come up and I could see this big drift in front of us and I said, hang on you guys, because I'm not going to stop at the tracks. But I'd never been over the tracks without stopping. I didn't know how rough it was going to be, right? And she's sitting in the back, goes, she's too sophisticated to hang on. So she's sitting there. We go over the bus, and this is a 54 passenger bus, so there's a lot of bus hanging off behind the back wheels.
Oh, I don't know. He got along well with my brothers and sisters. My mom and dad liked him. And we liked sort of the similar things, guitar playing, and he played the guitar. He smoked and I smoked.
When the back wheels goes over the track, she goes, come on, hit the roof, and landed in the seat next to her. Pencils, papers, all over the bus, right? You got her name.
And I had a whole list made up of what I liked about him. I can't remember what it was now, but he was Catholic.
So that didn't impress her. I'm surprised she didn't just quit on me right then. But yeah, we had a few interesting rides on that bus.
One time I get on the bus close to Christmas and everybody's giggling and laughing. You know, I don't know why. And apparently your dad had put a mistletoe right where the seat where I sit was right above my head.
Oh yeah, I had the mistletoe. And I can't remember what inspired that. The kids were teasing me or what, but yeah, I remember that. Don't think it worked.
So he kissed you on the bus?
No, I wouldn't let him. No, I got off the bus fast.
So when was the first kiss?
It was in the car, on a hill overlooking Grand Prairie. That's what I remember.
We got stopped by the cops a few times. They used to stop us and they'd check. Pretty soon they got to know who we were and they'd say, oh, it's you guys again. Okay, well, take it easy. Away they go.
How did he propose to you?
In the car. We were always in the car. And what was so funny is we'd park out just before the tracks on that road coming into the farm, you know, on the other side of the tracks. And we were out there for hours and hours talking, getting to know one another, and a few times in the middle of the day, and my dad, he would get on his tractor and come out there. He thought we were stuck or something, and he'd drive by and wave.
63, Christmas Eve, and it was out in the country somewhere not too far from the farm.
He drives all over the place, and I could tell something was up, you know, he wasn't saying nothing. Christmas Eve. He proposed in the car.
I had the ring, because Carl had helped me pick it out.
And he says, I brought you this. Here's your engagement ring. Oh boy. So I went home with this ring. I went to Grandma and Grandma Lester's, and Mom and Dad were there. I don't know how they all knew this. I didn't know it. And they were, oh, everybody's sitting around the table, you know, all excited. We were engaged. The wedding day?
Yeah. What happened?
May the 2nd, 64.
Well, what really stands out is waking up in the morning and seeing 5 inches of wet snow on the ground.
Woke up and great big sloppy wet snowflakes coming down.
And I'd left my car there at the farm because they were going to decorate it. So they had it in the barn and they decorated it all.
And I had spent months making flowers, Kleenex flowers, and a cardboard cake on top of the car. And within 10 minutes, the whole thing was soggy, fell off, half of it.
Then at the dance, my brothers were trying to get a hold of the key because they wanted to sabotage our car, right? So I wouldn't let them get a hold of it, and I told Dan, I said, well, drop it down the front of your dress.
We went to Jasper for our honeymoon.
The next morning, Carl was going to lend us his trailer. So we drive home for breakfast to Mom and Dad's place, and we had breakfast, and Carl says, yeah, the trailer's all hooked up, ready to go. So no problem.
We had Uncle Carl's RV. It was a chicken coop he had used. We cleaned it out, and all it was a bed, and you put your legs out, and here was a shelf with a stove, a gas stove, so we could make coffee or whatever.
So I said, oh, okay, thanks, Carl. And we jump in the car and take off. Well, of course, the classical tin cans behind the car, right? So I get out and I disposed of those all right, but I never thought of anything else. So we're driving down the highway between Grand Prairie and Valley View, and every time somebody would pass us by, they'd be waving and honking their horn, you know, and going, you know, and I'm thinking, what's the matter with all these people, you know?
We were wondering why everybody's waving and honking, and all the flowers are off. How do they know we're just married, huh? And so Dad gets out to gas it up in Valley View, the car, and he went around to the back and he comes over and he says, you should see what's written on the back of this RV.
Walk around to the back, and here written in red lipstick is, have wife, must travel.
Have wife, must travel. That was Carl.
Where we stayed in Jasper was where the Snaring River crosses the highway. Years ago, there was a little campsite off to the side.
I was so excited. The first time to see the mountains, it was unbelievable. I was just like, oh, this is fantastic.
Where we wanted to go to was Mount Edith Cavell.
It was colder than this, but it didn't matter. We were, in love and stupid.
Come time to go, and try to start the car, nothing.
And have a wiener roast, baked potatoes. We were there for a couple hours, and it was starting to get dark, so we thought we better get out of here. And we went to start the car, and it wouldn't go.
But I knew there was a payphone down about a half a mile right on the highway where this road turned off.
It was getting darker and darker, and he said, well, you better stay here, I'll walk down. I said, no, I'm not staying here. There's bears here.
She walks down with me. I get there, and I've got one nickel. The payphones were at a nickel for a call then. And I said, you got some change in your purse? So I don't have my purse. I said, what? Where is it? So it's in the car.
And then we got actually to these cabins. It was the first place, and Dad, we knocked on the door.
Told the guy our situation, and I said, we, need room for the night, and he said, geez, my places are kind of expensive, and I guess he could tell by looking at us.
We didn't have $20. We had a few bucks, that was all. And he said, well, I can drive you in, you can stay in a hotel downtown Jasper.
So we go in, and sure enough, like it was $3 or $4 or $5 or something, right?
Next day, the guy from the tow truck driver that we called, he drove us out for nothing, and he fixed it for nothing because he knew we didn't have a cent.
Gets the wrench, comes back, puts it in there, you know, loosens the clamp, puts it in there, tightens it up. Said, now try it. Started right up, right? So he disappears and he comes back with a big, heavy, long 6-volt cable. Great big, heavy one. And I said, what's that going to cost me? He said, nothing. He said, we never use these anymore.
We were going to go right home. This is it. We're out of money.
But hadn't it been for him and the guy that drove us from here into the hotel, I never would have stepped foot in Jasper again. Ever. I was just, I'd had it.
Then he sees my Aunt Hot Springs. We haven't been there. Stupid. And we said, okay.
So I'm looking at the gas gauge, and I knew I couldn't gas up until I got back to Hinton, because they had a Royalite service station there.
Well, you know how far it is?
That's a long drive.
Straight up a hill and no gas, and the gas is running low.
Well, it's all uphill. And we get up there and it's closed.
Oh my God, now how are we going to get back? So we said, by the grace of God, we're going to get back. The gas is almost on empty.
So I asked the guy at the gate, I said, how far is it to Hinton? He said, about 16 miles. I said, is it all downhill? And he said, pretty much. I said, okay. I said, we're just about out of gas. So we pulled into the Royalite station. It was probably just burning fumes, I don't know. But.
And we rolled back. We didn't put the gas on because we thought and we kind of rolled into Hinton. That was our honeymoon. First place was in a tent on the hill of Peace River. There was no place to live. You couldn't find an apartment, nothing.
And then we got back to the tent and the trailer, and it was raining, and she got sick, and so her dad had to come up and pick her up and take her home. And then we went back out on the road somewhere else. I can't remember where exactly. And then she shows up the week after, on the weekend. And it gets her dad after. When she said she wanted to get back to Peace River, he said, you're going back?
And then at the end of the week, I said to my dad, I said, could you drive me back to Peace River? And he said, oh, you want to go back? He thought I left him, I guess. I don't know. He didn't say.
So you graduated from the tent into what?
Into the Frenchie's apartment.
We shared a bathroom with another suite, and she ran into the milkman. Was using the bathroom one morning, and she goes to use the bathroom, and here's a milkman sitting on the can.
I would open the door, and it was awful. The milkman, I caught him sitting on the can one morning. Anybody from outside could walk in. And I had towels in there, and somebody used them as toilet paper. So I said, we got to get out of here. This is it. We lived in Northy's apartment.
Right.
And that was, Dad could tell the stories better than I could.
We weren't in that Northy's house for too long, probably maybe 2 years, not quite.
First thing I remember is being around the age of 2 and in the Brendor apartments, and Kevin was about 1.
One of the first things I remember ever was living in the Brendor apartment, and there was a drum set up in the living room.
And it was the old jail of Peace River at one time. The RCMP owned it.
Okay.
And we lived in a jail.
And it was early in the morning because he used to wake up really early. And I would wake up because I'd hear him crying. We slept in the same bedroom. And I remember trying to feed him something.
And I remember looking at that drum set. I thought, oh, that's kind of neat. And it was like, I could only play it, I think, when Mom thought it was appropriate because we were living in an apartment.
And the plaster, one morning, the idiots upstairs were jumping. I don't know what they were doing every morning. It was so stupid. They had 2 little kids, but they were playing games. And one morning the plaster came off. Lisa was just crawling and just missed her. And it would have killed her, a big piece of plaster. And Dad took that plaster and he went over there. He said, look, this almost killed my child. You know, this is ridiculous. Tell them to stop dumping and fix this stupid piece of plaster. Well, honestly.
My first memory growing up is the first house that Mom and Dad built in Peace River in town.
In Springfield, new subdivision in Peace River, and a lot of our friends' parents from our neighborhood back where the duplexes were moving into the same subdivision and building new houses.
But I remember doing the siding with, or actually before that, I remember Dad had me put on all the outlet covers on the switches and the plugs, and he gave me a screwdriver and he said, you take this box and just go around to each one and, you know, attach the plates. So I put them all on.
We both wanted to live in the country, you know, and some people were starting to buy outside of town, and it was hard to find an acreage.
I don't know, I'm not a farm girl. I never liked the city or town. I was born on the farm, raised, and I thought for raising children, best place. Because we had so much fun. I told my dad we had the best childhood of anybody I know, you know.
Really don't want a quarter section. Well, he said, think about it. He said, this is the price.
What was on that quarter section?
Just some old buildings. There is no house per se. In retrospect, I should have fixed up the one that was there.
Yeah, we found 2 quarter sections, one up the Weberville and one there, and then which one?
And what did you end up paying for that quarter section?
I think it was around 15,000. That's what I'm thinking. And he couldn't get a mortgage from the bank. They wouldn't touch a acreage, no.
Without a house?
Yeah, even with a house at that time, banks were really tough to get mortgages from.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So what I had to do is I had to mortgage it through Nelson Homes. They carried the first mortgage.
God showed me. It was like a map. It was like I could see 2 spots, you know, north and south. And the south one got bigger and the north one got smaller. And that was the one I figured God was showing me. That's where we should move. So.
When Mom and Dad went to buy the acreage, or the farm we always call it, it was 160 acres. And it was kind of interesting as a kid. Actually a really good place to grow up. It was full of old cars, buildings, junk. We spent a year cleaning it up.
Junk. Everywhere, junk. Piles of old car bodies and old shacks, and I remember thinking, this is ugly.
I found it isolating. Like, real bad. To the point where I had to reinvent, you know, myself almost.
How about growing up out there as a kid?
Oh, I loved it. I think that was where I really learned to have a love for nature. I think Peace River in itself was a place where you could learn to have a love for nature. It was a very beautiful environment growing up in the river valley. I never realized how beautiful it really was until I moved away and didn't see anything quite like it.
Riding bikes in the mud and the dirt, and when they paved the highway in front of the house, it was great because now we had pavement. Catching frogs, skating on the pond in the wintertime. We'd clear it off and we'd skate and play hockey out there.
The dog. I think the dog was so much fun. We all had so many tales and Brandy stories because he was just such a fun dog.
I loved sports, and so being out there, you know, there wasn't a lot of options. So I had a football that the phys ed teacher was going to throw out. So I took it back home, deflated it, sewed it up with some kind of wax string we had in the garage, and I kicked that football for about 4 years.
It was also a place where I think we bonded more as a family, as we had to work together as well as play together.
You know, we climbed trees. I mean, we climbed 45-foot poplars, sit at the top and swing around there like apes.
So those are all really good memories of the farm. And that's one of the reasons that I'm interested in acreage life, is because of growing up on the farm. And now you're where you are now. on the acreage west of Stony. And how are you liking that?
Oh, it's fantastic. It's like an oasis for me.
And so I was really happy to move. Yeah, when we found St. Albert house.
Now
Yeah.
you're on the acreage west of Stony.
And now that's the place I want to be. That's it. The perfect place.
When you think back to your parents, what lessons did you learn from them that you passed down to your kids?
Dad was really strict with us.
Your dad.
My dad. Mom was too. We got away with a lot when they weren't around or looking, like you guys did.
I hope I was able to pass on a work ethic because, you know, my mother worked at cleaning houses or office buildings or whatever she had to do to put me through college.
I feel lucky to have them as my mom and dad because they taught us that it's okay to work hard.
I think some of the things that happened out there were demoralizing, and I think we learned to see failure and to see you keep going.
They taught me how to work hard and earn a living, right? And never give up.
But the best advice I could give is never give up.
Never give up.
I want to thank Mom and Dad for always being there for me.
What went wrong with our love? A love that was so strong. And as I still walk on, I think of the things we've done together while our hearts were young. I'm a walking in the rain, tears are falling and I feel a pain, wishing you were here by me to end this misery. And I wonder, I wonder why she ran away. And I wonder where she will stay, my little runaway. Run, 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 run away. I'm a walking in the rain, tears are falling and I feel a pain, wishing you were here by. Can't buy me love, love, can't buy me love. I'll buy you a diamond ring, my friend, if that makes you feel alright. I'll get you anything, my friend, if it makes you feel alright. 'Cause I don't care too much for money, but money can buy me love.
When you're alone and life is making you lonely, you can always go downtown. When you've got worries, all the noise and the hurry seems to help, I know. Downtown, just listen to the music, not the traffic in the city. Linger on the sidewalk rather.
Fighting soldiers from the sky, fearless men who jump and die, men who mean just what they say, the brave men of the Green Beret, silver wings upon their chest.
Don't you tell
Slice
me I
of it.
gotta kiss him.
I